Have you ever wondered what connects a bustling city in ancient Mesopotamia over 500 years ago with the house down your street today? The answer might be simpler than you think. It's the humble brick. But the story of this simple block of clay is anything but ordinary. It's a story of innovation, survival, and the very foundation of civilization. Let's travel back in time to the Fertile Crescent, between the mighty Tigris and Euphrates rivers, to uncover the incredible history of brickmaking in ancient Mesopotamia. Our story begins with a problem. The land of Mesopotamia was rich in fertile soil, perfect for agriculture, but it lacked one crucial resource: stone. The grand mountains and quarries that supplied civilizations like Egypt with massive blocks for their pyramids were nowhere to be found. So, how do you build a city, a temple, or even a simple home without stone? You get creative. And the Mesopotamians were masters of creativity. They looked down at their feet and found the answer in the mud and silt deposited by the annual river floods. This wasn't just dirt. It was a gift from the rivers. This alluvial clay was pliable, abundant, and right there for the taking. The earliest builders started simple. They would mix this clay with water, adding straw or other plant fibers as a binder to give it strength and prevent cracking. This mixture was then packed by hand into rectangular wooden molds and left to bake under the hot Middle Eastern sun. These were the world's first sun-dried bricks, or as archaeologists call them, adobe. Imagine entire cities rising from the earth itself. That's exactly what happened. Uruk, one of the world's first true cities, was built almost entirely from these sun-dried bricks. Homes, city walls, and even the early stages of the great ziggurats were all constructed from mud brick. It was a revolutionary technology. It was cheap, easy to produce, and allowed for rapid construction. Anyone could learn to make bricks, which meant entire communities could participate in building their shared world. However, sun-dried bricks had a major weakness: water. A heavy rainstorm or a flood could turn a sturdy wall back into a pile of mud. The Mesopotamians were all too familiar with the destructive power of their rivers. They needed something stronger, something more permanent. Especially for their most important buildings, the temples dedicated to their gods, and the palaces for their kings. This need drove the next great innovation: the fired brick. Sometime around the 3rd millennium BCE, a Mesopotamian genius realized that if you subjected a clay brick to intense heat in a special oven called a kiln, it underwent a transformation. The heat vitrified the clay, making it rock-hard, waterproof, and incredibly durable. The fired brick was born, and it changed everything. Creating fired bricks was a much more complex and expensive process. It required building kilns, gathering fuel like wood or reeds to reach temperatures over 1000 degrees Celsius, and skilled labor to manage the firing process. Because of this cost, fired bricks were reserved for special purposes. They were used as a protective outer layer for important structures, like the ziggurat of York, shielding its sun-dried brick core from the elements. They paved public courtyards and lined drainage channels, creating infrastructure that could withstand both time and water. But the Mesopotamians didn't just see bricks as building materials. They saw them as a canvas. The Babylonians, in particular, took brick technology to an artistic peak. They developed a stunning technique for glazing bricks. They would mix silica, alkali, and metallic oxides to create colored glazes: vibrant blues, yellows, and whites. These glazed bricks were then used to create breathtaking mosaics and reliefs. The most famous example, of course, is the Ishtar Gate of Babylon, built under King Nebuchadnezzar II. This monumental gateway wasn't just a wall. It was a masterpiece. Its walls were covered in brilliant blue glazed bricks, forming a backdrop for rows of relief-sculpted dragons, lions, and bulls, each symbolizing a different deity. Imagine walking through that gate, nearly 3,000 years ago, the sun glinting off the vibrant colors. It would have been an awe-inspiring declaration of Babylon's power, wealth, and divine favor. And the innovation didn't stop there. Bricks became a medium for communication. Royal inscriptions were often stamped or carved onto bricks before firing. These stamps would name the king who commissioned the building and the god it was dedicated to. So, a single brick could tell you who was in power and when a temple was built. It was a way for kings to leave their mark for eternity, embedding their legacy into the very fabric of their cities. Archaeologists have found thousands of these inscribed bricks, giving us invaluable insights into Mesopotamian history and chronology. So, from a simple mixture of mud and straw to the gloriously glazed artworks of Babylon, the brick was the backbone of Mesopotamian civilization. It allowed them to overcome their environmental limitations and build some of the most impressive and enduring cities the world has ever known. It was more than just a building block. It was a symbol of human ingenuity, resilience, and the desire to create something permanent in a world of constant change. The next time you see a brick wall, take a moment to think about its ancient ancestors from the land between the rivers. That simple, rectangular block carries with it a story that is thousands of years old, a story of how mud was transformed into monuments, and how a simple invention helped build the very foundations of our civilized world. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this story and want to uncover more secrets from the ancient world, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments what other ancient innovations you'd like to explore. Until next time, stay curious.